as we head into the bye week and we look back over the first 6 weeks of the season and look forward to the next 6 games of the season, the bye week came at the perfect time as it's really in the middle of Oklahoma season itself. So at this midway point, you know what we got to do. Let's take a look at where the media was wrong, where everybody was wrong about this Sooner team, and talk about why they were wrong. We're going to break all of that down here on the show. So sit back, relax, enjoy yourself. We're going to dive in. But before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thanks for pulling up to the channel. I'm going to give you all a little history behind the name. Me and my buddy came up with the name Unfair Sports because sports in itself is typically not fair. There's so many things that happen, so many variables that doesn't lead to a fair ending. On top of that, majority of the time, the media is very unfair. They lead with their own narratives and they don't usually give the props deserved. And they always throw blame in spots where it shouldn't be. And so here we try to take a pensive approach. We want to make sure that we are as fair as possible with our analysis as fans of the game and critics of the game. And so we're going to talk about, though, how unfair it was going into this game, going into this bye week now. See, now everyone's changing their tune. But before this Red River game, I'm going to talk about unfairness and how unfair the media was. And I want to look at a couple of these statements that we heard. So we heard going into this game that Texas is at least a year ahead of what Oklahoma's doing. And that's all based upon Texas beating Alabama. Also, Texas having their coach, Steve Sarkisian, in place a year before Brent Venables came into place. And so that additional year of recruiting, that additional year of preparation, is the reason why a lot of media figures said that Oklahoma was at least a year behind Texas. Another one that we were hearing, Oklahoma as a team may have made a mistake hiring Brent Venables. That was one that was intriguing to me. He's on the hot seat before the season even started. If Oklahoma has another 6-7 season, Brent Venables is on the hot seat going into the SEC. They're not SEC ready. What are they going to do to get themselves there? And it's funny because listening to Brent Venables in his press conferences, he'll tell you straight up, we're ready. And it's all about the coaches and preparation. We'll get there. We heard from a notable media figure, which I'll put that video up here for you guys to see in a bit. Well, a link to the video when I talked about it. You guys can follow that yourselves. How Oklahoma's potentially the new Nebraska. They're moving into a bigger conference. The state doesn't produce a lot of 5-star or elite caliber athletes. And once they go to the SEC, they're going to be poached by every other school there. And then Brent Venables, as a defensive-minded coach, just can't win the big ones. He's not ready. He's not built for it. And so all of those statements are fascinating to me because the unfairness behind all of that is we don't take in consideration the actual track records of some of these coaches. One thing that I always do when I look at a player and I evaluate them, I usually give a player grace their first year. Unless I see a tendency in every game that's the same, that tells me where they're most likely going to go. It's hard to find, but in a lot of cases, a lot of places you can see it. Give you an NFL analogy. If you watch a quarterback his rookie year in the NFL and he shows out, you go look at his sophomore year. The question you have to ask yourself in their play is, how do they respond when teams have multiple games of footage and they have enough film to break down what your true tendencies are? Let me explain what I mean there. All players have a tendency of what they do. They have a habit. We as humans, we're creatures of habit. And so you're going to follow that blueprint. You always will deviate back to the median every time. When things get pressured, you always go back to what's comfort to you, what's comfortable for you as a player, person in general. And so we took that to heart on what Brent Venables is as a first-time coach. Everyone saw that first year and said, oh, There's no way they can do better than they did year one. But fail to realize that if you go back to the track record of this coach, this is what he has done every time. In his three coaches, he's worked for three considered Hall of Fame coaches, and Bill Snyder, Bob Stoops, Dabo Swinney. His first year in the job, you will see a drop-off from what they've done years after. You notice an efficiency change from year one to year two, though. Once year two hits, it seems things click. And that tells you about the coach's preparation and the mentality. He tells you that's how you got to prepare. Go watch his speeches. He's basically giving you the blueprint of what he's doing. Genius moves by him. Genius. He tells you how he prepares for every single game. And so Oklahoma is walking in here with that mentality, and I love it. We'll talk about some of his pressers a little bit later, but look at the next thing. Recruiting's going to take a hit. He walks in the door, salvages a recruiting class, and goes out there and does what? Makes it better. Then the next year improves on it. And now go look at the class this year. He has always recruited the positions you need. And his coaching staff has always recruited the players that fit the best of what they're trying to do. It's not just skill set. It's also sheer will to wanting to win and be better. It's where you got to give that man his props. And then the fact that one media pundit decided to think that Oklahoma had a chance of being Nebraska, it's preposterous. Not even ludicrous. When Nebraska left the Big 12, they left a large part of their recruiting trail. Oklahoma didn't. We go to the SEC, guess what? Everywhere we recruit is in the exact same place, except for California and Nevada. But we recruited there anyway. They've been here regardless. So we ask the question, is Oklahoma actually getting better? Will Oklahoma continue to prove everybody wrong? Because we're a year behind Texas. We're not a playoff contender. Our recruiting is going to struggle. So many things on the list is there. So we ask the question, how good can Oklahoma be? We were even told offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby just couldn't get the job done. He was never the man calling the plays at Ole Miss. And we see in critical and clutch moments, guess what he's done? Put together the right game plan and made it happen. He's executed on the end result. Now, of course, you always can get better. You'll always hear me say that here on the channel. But the thing I want to tell y'all is this. As long as Oklahoma sticks to the plan, we're good. We're going to be scary. We're going to be the team that other teams will now be nervous about. Go watch the media and how they're switching their thoughts. That's how the media got this wrong. They thought they could prejudge what Oklahoma was without taking into account historical data. I get it. Brent Venables is a first-year coach, head coach, that is. But he's been an assistant for 20 years plus. And he's also been assistant under great coaches. He didn't jump from job to job. He went to stability, and he created stability. And guess what he's doing here in Oklahoma? Creating stability. So the long-term questions about Brent Venables is this. How many coaches can he keep around on staff? How many coaches can he keep around? Because a lot of these coaches will ride with Coach Venables and have massive opportunities placed in front of them. And that's when you start to see the struggles of these coaches when it comes to dynasties. You get 5 years as a dynasty is being created. And Kirby Smart's feeling it right now. Dabo Swinney's already been through it. Nick Saban's been through it. When they start poaching your top assistants, the question is always going to be, how much better can you be? And we're seeing that today from Coach Venables. Hop in the comments. Let me know. What's your thoughts? How you feel about the media being wrong about Oklahoma? What other things did you see that jumped out to you that have been said about the Sooners that you knew was quite frankly wrong? If you've made it this far, you like the content, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We'd love to have you join this great family of college football fans. So we're talking OU football and college football in general as we are expanding. So YouTube said check out one of these videos. I highly recommend it because I made it for you. And we will talk soon. Boomer sooner. Peace.